Today we're going to do something that is extremely important when you first get a griddle. This is a step you absolutely don't want to not do, and you certainly don't want to mess it up. And you need to do this every time you get a new griddle, like a Blackstone.
Right.
And you also sometimes may need to redo it if you've neglected your griddle like for an extended period of time, like maybe over the winter and the griddle started rusting.
Yikes, I don't want to screw this up. What are we doing?
We are going to season the griddle.
Hey, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Joe.
And we are
two
crazy
ketos. Welcome back to the channel. Super excited about today's video. We're out here at the farm and we have to do something that is very, very important.
We are making brisket.
No, we are not making brisket. We are standing in front of a griddle, not a smoker.
We are making some keto chow pancakes.
No. Okay, so here's the thing. I have been in the market for a new griddle. We've talked about that on some of our live streams. We used to have a Blackstone years ago. I sold that. I had switched over to getting a Smokestone from Rectech, which ran on pellets, but I really want to have something that runs on propane. So I've been in the market for a new one, and I finally found what I think is the best griddle on the market.
Now, what caused this particular brand to like edge out the others?
A lot of the features, and we're going to do a full review of this particular griddle in a different video. But what we ended up getting was the Grilla Grills Primate. One of the things that I really like about it, and again, we'll do a full video about this later, is that not only is this like a full-size griddle like a Blackstone, but it can also be a barbecue. So if you don't have a lot of space, if you only can have like a barbecue or a griddle, this solves it because it could be both. And then some of the other features to me just stood out above everything else, especially living out here on the farm where we currently don't have like a cover to put over it.
Right.
And this unit is completely made out of stainless steel.
We need that, especially in Florida. Like our weather's pretty harsh on our grills. So what are we doing today?
Today we're going to do something that is extremely important when you first get a griddle. This is a step you absolutely don't want to not do, and you certainly don't want to mess it up. And you need to do this every time you get a new griddle, like a Blackstone.
Right.
And you also sometimes may need to redo it if you've neglected your griddle, like for an extended period of time, like maybe over the winter and the griddle started rusting.
Yikes, I don't want to screw this up. What are we doing?
We are going to season the griddle.
Now, why is that important?
Seasoning the griddle is extremely important. First of all, it is going to make your griddle almost like non-stick, which is kind of like cast iron. You've heard you have to season cast iron.
Yeah, don't put like soap and water on that. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
But that's actually not the real purpose and function of seasoning a griddle. The real function of seasoning your griddle is to protect it.
Okay.
Because your griddle is made with steel. Now, sometimes you even get them out of cast iron, but most of them are rolled steel. Water, humidity, rain makes steel rust.
Rachel's cooking.
We need to protect it. And if you do this right, you will have a surface that will be nonstick and it will be protected. And I figured that since we're coming into the spring, a lot of people may have to re-season their griddle, or they're going to go buy a Blackstone or something like a Blackstone, maybe a Grilla Grills Primate. They want to know how to season it right. It is very, very easy, but it does take about 20 to 30 minutes. But once you do it, you're going to have a well-protected griddle.
Now, what are the things that I'm going to need to have when I'm ready to season my grill?
Okay, so here's what you do need. First of all, you're going to need a long pair of tongs. Honestly, I wish I had a longer pair, but you want to have a long pair of tongs because you're going to be putting oil on your griddle and you're going to be rubbing it around.
Okay.
So you need to have something so that you can kind of move that around. And we'll talk about some of the mistakes people make as we're doing this. Then you're going to need some kind of rags. You could use like a good cotton, like washcloth, something like that. Or what I really like is like these blue shop towels. Paper towels will work, but you're going to be dealing with a griddle that's going to be up at temperatures of upwards of like 500, 600 degrees. And sometimes you're going to get like scorch marks, and then the paper starts flaking off. So I find that these work really well, not only for seasoning, but also when you're cooking on the Blackstone and you need to go and clean it off later. This works really well. Then you need to have an oil. And this is really important, and this is where a lot of people screw up.
Now I see you've chosen avocado oil.
Yes.
Why are we not using something like bacon grease or beef tallow or some other like animal fat?
Okay, so what you want to do is you want to use a very high heat tolerant oil. Like you don't want to use like olive oil. Like honestly, you should never cook with olive oil. Olive oil is really for a flavor, not cooking. It's got a very low smoke point. You need something with a high smoke point, something that can tolerate 450-degree temperatures, where that's where it's going to start smoking. You'll see a lot of people talk about using flaxseed oil. Honestly, I don't even think flaxseed oil is that good of an oil, because sometimes it can like have too high of a smoke point and you don't get a good season on the griddle. So in my personal opinion, the best two oils to season your griddle with are grapeseed oil and avocado oil. Now, some people will also use things like Crisco and stuff like that, which is fine, except for I prefer to not have those, type of oils, those man-made oils. I want to use a natural oil. So 100% pure avocado oil is really good. It's got the perfect smoke point, and grapeseed oil is really good. You do not, I repeat, do not want to do your initial season with animal fats.
And why is that?
Because animal fats, what happens is they can have moisture. A lot of people will try to do this with bacon grease. The problem is bacon grease is not like our ancestors. So you think about, like in our ancestors, like Little House on the Prairie time, they cooked with cast iron. Out on the prairie, they cooked with cast iron 5-6 times a day. That was very well seasoned. They were cooking on it every day. Most of us with our griddle, we don't cook on it every day, and certainly not all of our meals. So you're not going to get that patina like they would get on that old-fashioned cast iron. But going back to them, when they cooked bacon, it wasn't like our bacon today. It wasn't loaded with chemicals and sugar and things like that. And so bacon especially has salt in it. Salt is a drying agent. And what's going to end up happening is it's going to affect your oil. It's going to affect your patina. You're not going to get a really good season on this griddle. Remember, the purpose of seasoning is to protect, not make it non-stick.
Is that going to be the same thing with beef tallow though?
Yeah. So again, just for the initial season, you want to use something like avocado oil. Beef tallow also, the problem is you could end up with like layers of it, and you don't want to have that. You want to get a really good season on there. Once you have the season, you can use beef tallow and stuff.
We're good to go.
But we want to get this initial season. So are you ready to get started?
I am so ready.
So we're going to give a little secret that you didn't know about.
Okay.
This is super easy to do.
How easy is it?
So we're going to teach Rachel how to do it.
This is so easy. Rachel can do it.
Rachel can do it so long as you have time and patience.
Oh, I've got one of those, at least one.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready, as I'm ever going to be.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the griddle, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
And you're going to see this is a brand new, unseasoned griddle top. Now, I will show you real quick, just like a little preview. You're going to get some echo from all of the metal as we're talking. But if you grab each handle and lift it up, you can see how this griddle top is removable. And this one has 4 burners. What I liked about this particular griddle is you can take that out, and then they have grates that go in here along with your flare-up pieces, and it would immediately turn into a grill. But we'll do that in another video. So now we're going to go ahead and put that back down. But I wanted to show you that we have 4 burners. We just have to seat it in, right? Lift up that side real quick. And now it is all seated in. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to turn all of the burners on, and we're going to let this thing just burn for about 5 minutes until you start to get a change in color here on the griddle. Also, you want to pre-wash it, which I've already done with soap and water. That's just to get shipping oils off of it. So go ahead and turn on the first burner, and then just turn it on to the high right there, and then press that little button over there. And that's now lit, and now we can do all of the rest of them. And again, we're gonna do this on high, and then you can hit that igniter button to kind of give it a little jump start. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to let this griddle heat up. You want to have it on high. We can close up the top, and we're going to go until this thing is nice and hot. We want to get that griddle temperature up to 450, 500,
Whew.
600 degrees. So this will take about 5 minutes, but you can already smell it. So if we open it up, you'll probably even see some of those oils starting to burn off a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So once this gets nice and hot, what's going to happen is you're going to see this griddle is going to change temp colors. And what we'll do is once that happens, we'll come back and start with the seasoning.
All right, it looks like it is changing colors. So now what's next?
We're going to start putting oil on. And here's the thing. This is one of the places that people screw up. They use too much oil.
Okay.
One thing to let you guys know, our griddle is not on a level surface right now because we don't have any decks. Ideally, your griddle is going to be on a level surface, but because ours is not on a level surface, it's going to kind of pull down. So we're going to put it on the higher spot, knowing that the oil is going to flow down. But you really want to make sure that you don't put too much oil. You're just going to use 1 or 2 tablespoons. A little bit is going to go a long way. If you add too much oil, it's going to end up caking and you're not going to get the patina you're looking for. So what you're going to do is you're going to put just a couple of tablespoons right up here on the top. And then you're going to quickly take this rag and you are going to coat the entire thing. Now you may need to put a little bit more, but you're going to just keep rubbing it around, and you want it to smoke like this.
Woof.
You got to make sure you rub it all in, go back to where you originally put it down because it's more pulled up there. And you're going to get the whole thing, and also make sure you're doing the sides. So just make sure you cover everything. Get up here along this edge, on the inside edge along the very, very front. And now what we're going to do is we're going to let this continue to burn until it stops smoking. Then we're going to do another layer.
All right, I have a brand new paper towel. Are we ready for another layer yet?
No, you want to make sure all of that gets burned off and it stops smoking. Let it go for 3 or 4 minutes, because even when you do your grill, you're going to have to remember that certain areas are going to heat up faster than others. So you saw where those 4 burners are. That's going to get hotter than the edges. So you want to make sure that everything has enough time to burn off. So this is another place that people kind of mess it up, where they rush it. So you can see how it's still smoking a little bit in this area. So we're going to wait for that to stop smoking for 2 or 3 more minutes. Now, because we're going to use another rag, what we're going to do is, instead of pouring this one on, we're just going to wet this rag a little bit with oil. So just dab your rag a little bit with oil. This way you're not going to put too much. So now that it stopped smoking, we're going to go ahead and take that oil and we're going to rub it in again. You want to make sure you coat the whole thing. The biggest thing is you don't want to have pools of oil. We're looking for light coats. Make sure you get all of the corners and everything. Now, once again, we're going to let this keep going until this stops smoking. So every time you put oil on there, it smokes, and we want to get the smoking to stop. This is one of the things I was talking about with the smoke points of oil. You don't want to have one that is so low, like olive oil, where it will cook off before you can get that patina. But you also don't want to have one that is really high smoke point, for example, flaxseed oil, where your griddle may not even get to the temperature that is required to actually have that smoking happen. That's why avocado oil and grapeseed oil are perfect, because you're coming in at a smoke point of about 450 degrees. You see how the griddle is changing colors and it's getting like that nice black patina look?
Yes, and I also understand where you said I need patience for this, because of course I'm like, okay, I just want to keep going. So you need to wait until all of the smoke burns off.
So see how it's nice and black in those areas, and we're still getting smoke. So we want to make sure all of that smoke stops before we do the next layer. Now at this point, your rag is probably soaked with enough oil that you may not need to put more oil down. But if you do, you're just going to put a little bit on there. Now we're about 3 or 4 minutes in, and you can see that this area has stopped smoking, but we're still smoking along here on the edges, and that's because those areas don't get as hot. So again, we want to make sure that everything stops smoking and you get a good coat on here. Another thing to mention is make sure you're getting up along the sides and the edges wherever possible, because this is all about protection. Another area that we probably have missed a little bit is down in the oil chute. So make sure you're getting in there because you want everything to be able to go right down into that spot. Okay, I think we're ready for the next one.
Ready to go?
So go ahead and just take your rag and just, again, quickly coat the whole griddle. And you want to try to get, especially in the edges, and just make a good coverage on the whole thing. But see how you have enough oil on there that you're getting that good coating? And again, the place to make sure you get is in the edges, in the corners of the whole griddle, just because, you know, that's where it's not going to get as hot and you want to have a good patina in there. Now, I do want to say, if you're using a paper towel or a rag or something like that, and you start seeing this, this is okay. The reason it's happening is that griddle is so hot, you're almost burning the paper towel. Now, don't let it catch on fire, but this is also why if you're going to use like a washcloth, make sure it's a cotton washcloth. Don't use something synthetic made with a bunch of plastics and polyester because that's gonna melt to your griddle. But doing it like this is okay. Just means your griddle is nice and hot. And if you have to, switch out and use more paper towels. While we're waiting for this to finish smoking off, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the oils. I also wanted to mention, if you haven't figured out already, that this process would apply to any, you know, like outdoor griddle, whether it be cast iron or it be a rolled steel like the Blackstones or the Grills. You will see some of them, like the Camp Chefs, come pre-seasoned. I would still do this seasoning process because usually those pre-seasons aren't that good. The one exception is going to be the Pit Boss, which comes with a ceramic coating where you don't have to season that. And I did a lot of research on that. And after doing a lot of research, opted not to get that because everything I saw, even the YouTubers said within like a year, it wasn't completely non-stick and they were having to get, you know, it replaced under warranty. That's why I went back with this. But one thing I wanted to mention is when you go to the store, like in Walmart or Tractor Supply or other places that sell Blackstone and some of the other companies, I think that there's even one from Traeger, they have like a seasoning conditioner oil. It comes in either a squeeze tube or a little tub. You can use that, but I personally wouldn't bother. They're gonna charge you about $10 or $15 for that seasoning or conditioner. And basically it's just a type of fat, but it's got some like preservatives in it. You can only use it for seasoning the griddle. You can't use it to cook with. So take that same amount of money and go buy yourself some avocado oil. Then you can use the avocado oil, which conditions it just as good, if not better. And then you also have something to cook with. It's like, why spend $15 for a specialized thing that you don't have to when grapeseed oil or avocado oil is gonna do a great job instead of having to buy that stuff. Okay, even though it looks like we have a good season, we're gonna go one more time. And again, make sure it's a nice light coat and just coat the entire griddle one more time. So I don't know if you can really pick it up on video, but you can see how you have this nice black coating. The griddle is completely different than when we first started, and that is the patina you're looking for. That's gonna protect the griddle, but then also, as you cook with this, it's going to make it more and more non-stick.
Now what?
So at this point, your griddle is completely seasoned. So we can do one of two things. Either A, we can lower the temperature and cook on it, or B, we could turn it off and get it set up so that it is completely protected for our next cook. Which one do you want to do?
I choose A because after we cook something, I can eat something.
Okay, so we're gonna cook some eggs because that'll help test it. Again, when it comes to cast iron, stuff like that, having a little bit of oil on there is a good thing. But one thing you will find is cooking on a high temperature with eggs especially, not a good idea. So we're gonna lower the temperature on the griddle and let it come down. I like to cook on like a low to medium heat when it comes to eggs. So we let the griddle come down to temperature a little bit. So we're gonna start off with some sausage. If you're cooking meat and eggs, always obviously start off with your meat because it's gonna take longer. One of the nice things about having a griddle this size is you can start your meat and then we can move it over and then we can use the fat from this to cook our eggs. So we're gonna let these cook. It should just take a few minutes. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and flip these over. And here's the thing, the more you cook on this, the more non-stick this is going to get. So what we can do now that the sausages are cooked on one side, we can move them over here to this other side, and we can start our eggs, and then our eggs will be done right about when those sausages are done. So we've got that little bit there. I'm just gonna take a scraper and give it a little scrape, and this is a good test of your patina. If you did it wrong, if you put too much oil, you'd start seeing white streaks. But see how we don't have that? This is a perfect piece right here. Now we'll just take a couple of our eggs. And again, our griddle is not completely level here. And I know Rachel likes broken yolks.
Yes, I do.
Let that cook. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and finish these off. You can actually start turning off the grill now. So our sausages are definitely done. I'm gonna cut these. Look at that.
I like it.
Cook that for about 5 seconds, and then we can take them off. Okay, I think we are all done. So we got our 3 eggs.
Now, how do we clean this thing?
I will show you. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put that to the side. I like to do this when it's still hot. Take your scraper, scrape off any food. That's gonna go down our little chute on our griddle. Okay. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our tongs and a rag. I'm gonna put a little bit of water on here and wipe it down.
Now, do you have to put oil on it again?
So after the griddle cools down, what you want to do is come back and put a light coat of oil on the surface. And you honestly want to do that every single time you cook. Even if you don't put water or anything on there to clean it up, you always want to make sure when you're done with the griddle, you've got a light coat of oil on there. That's going to protect the surface. Well, there you have it. That's how you season a griddle and cook a meal for Rachel.
Yes, actually, what are you having? Because this is all mine.
Well, I think what I'm gonna do, since you're eating that, I'm gonna make a skillet pizza on the Blackstone.
Ooh.
Now, if you like seeing videos like this, take a look at the video we have linked right over there. Also, make sure you take a look at the most recent video that I'm gonna put right over here.
But whether you head this way or you head this way, don't forget to head this way. Subscribe to our channel and click the little bell icon, and that way, every single time we're cooking up something, you'll be alerted to it.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.